Recording now. Okay.
Yeah, and she's happy to accept questions, and there are going to be some breaks, I think, at certain sort of natural break points, and then maybe she'll ask for questions then, and there'll be a chance at the end as well for questions. Okay, well, I was very excited because we had a sneak preview of Christina's talk yesterday. And her theme is self-discovery and resilience, which I think is going to appeal to all of us immensely. Christina has had an amazing life. I think you're going to hear more from her in detail, but I'll just mention some of the things. She's in New Zealand at the moment. She is a Kiwi. And we're delighted to have her zooming from New Zealand. Well is extending its global reach. Anyway, Christina has been a traveler from birth, and she's achieved amazing things. She was the first woman Rotarian in her district. So I think she shook things up like that, since they were only used to male Rotarians. She didn't rest on her laurels. At 29, she became the youngest district councillor in her town in Bulla in New Zealand. And she had a few run-ins with the mayor, who was obviously not used to having women disturbing his comfortable existence. She has written a book called Weird and Wow Hanoi, 1000 Years, 1000 Photos, which celebrates 1000 years of Hanoi's history. I think we are going to hear more about that. And Christina told us yesterday that the title was chosen by the government rather than her. But anyway, I'll leave her to tell us in detail about that. Christina has traveled a lot. She met her Japanese husband in Bangkok. I believe he's in Taiwan at the moment, so they're continuing to lead this international existence. But what I think Christina is going to concentrate on telling us today is about her social platform, which she has dedicated 14 years of her life to. It's called Globally Good. And she wants to bring all good things on the globe together and disrupt prejudice and promote grassroots NGOs and get their message out about the good things that they're doing in developing countries. And I think it would be nicer for you to hear directly from Christina about all this, because she has lots of slides to show us and some writing exercises for us. So I would like to hand over to Christina, and a big welcome to Tokyo, and great to have you coming into the meeting today from New Zealand.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much. Thank you for the welcome and the intro. It did sound very interesting. I think that was really nice to hear. Often you just live your life, don't you? We all have stories and we're all interesting people, but when you hear someone talk about it, you go, oh, really? Is that me? So I think we should just get into it. This is all about self-discovery, and so I'll just get my presentation up and let's go. Oh, I don't think you can see that though. Just 1 minute. Whoops, sorry. Can you tell I'm new at this? Just bear with. That's what I need to do. This is what it's all happening.
Yes.
Oh, up there.
Yes, we can see it.
Yeah, okay, great. I'll just get it on screen view, so that's good. Okay, so my talk's about titled A Woman's Resilience and Belief and Determination in a Man's World. Before I start that, I want to welcome everyone. Thank you for taking your time on a Saturday to hear this. This is the first time I've ever spoken about this, so thank you for the opportunity. I'll just have to work out how I shift that. Oh yeah, okay. I'll just put that on the other side. Okay, got it. Right. And this is the first time I've used Zoom, so please bear with. Right, so let's get going. Okay, so in Maori, which is our local Indigenous people, we have an introduction. It's about my roots, ancestors and lineage. It's called a pepeha. So I'd like to start with that. Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Violet te waka, ko Fuji te moana, ko Maruia te awa, ko Whakatū aho, ko Hunt oku matua, ko Peri, Raua ko Minamizawa toku ingoa. Nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa. Okay, so I am Christina Minamizawa, and as you can see, I am a social impact entrepreneur. So what that means is that I'm going for impact in a sustainable way. So anything that we do good on the planet, I want it to be sustainable. And what I do is I care about the effects. So everything I do has to be good for people, the planet, and also has to make profit. I'm yet to realise this, but you'll find out along the way. So the title, I was just sort of a little bit worried that might put people off because I might think that it's going to be a very sad, dark sort of a story. Because, you know, we are living in a man's world, and I am a feminist, and because I want a better future for myself and for future generations of women. I believe it's up to us all to push the barriers, and I know we all live in, it's difficult on a daily basis. We need to expand ourselves for higher roles if that's possible, and you stand up for our rights, which is often quite difficult. We especially need to educate our young women and our girls because their contribution is essential for our future. We must keep our feminine energy and sanity and uniqueness. I think that's really, really important. So as I said, I'm a New Zealander, I'm a Kiwi, I'm a global traveller from birth. So basically I'm always on the move. I'm a lifelong learner and I'm a hairdresser, which means I cut my hair and all my families. I was the first Rotarian in our area and, like was said, the youngest locally elected government representative. It was a very small town, but I'm still very proud that people actually voted for me and saw the value in a young person than most of the people that were in their 70s. I'm a biker, a horse rider, and I've been a vegetarian for 40 years. I'm a published author in the communist country, which is Vietnam, and I'm the wife of a Japanese lad for 23 years. So my wish for you today is I want you to hear an untold story about resiliency, belief and determination. I want you to gain some insights into your own life and inspire you to take action, to do something, whatever is important to you. And I want you to, you know, support other women and girls in their unique journey. We all have something in our heart, and my thing is globally good. I'm fully committed to its success, and for 14 years I've been working on these ideas, but my vision has not been fulfilled. It is something new, exciting, globe-changing, but generally misunderstood. I will not stop, and I basically cannot stop. I feel like this is my life purpose, and it chose me. And it all began one morning at 7:20 a.m. At 7:19, it was the 12th of May, 2016. Oh, sorry, 2006. I was working in my office, happily living a good life as an expat in Vietnam, and I just moved there 3 months ago, and we'd just been living in Bangkok. But in just one split second, my life changed forever. So on the 12th of May at 7:20 a.m, everything changed. The phone rang. My sister saying something that I just couldn't comprehend. Danielle, my 18-year-old niece, had been killed in a car crash the night before. My whole life crashed. And after the hysteria subsided, I knew that I would never be the same. And I made an oath to myself in that moment that I must follow my dreams. So Danielle, this is Danielle. She'd spent 6 weeks with me in Bangkok the year before, and her t-shirt reads, "I am what I am and I do what I want." And that's how she lived her life. As a responsible auntie, when she came to stay, we did all the usual things like we did the theme parks, we rode elephants, we took train trips, we travelled around Vietnam and Thailand, and we partied and celebrated her 17th birthday. But she was more like going on 25. So we drank cocktails to the early hours of the morning in 5-star hotels, and generally we had 6 weeks of a great time. Danielle and I were like soul sisters. We're noisy, fun, go-getters, and now she was gone. This was a huge moment in my life. I don't have children, and she wasn't like a child, but she was like a very close sister. So basically everything from onwards got affected by this moment. So I want to ask you people, is like, well, what sort of full stop moment have you had in your life? What has happened in your life that has changed the course of your future? It could be something good. Now I just invite you to write it down just for a minute. Not sure if anyone's timing that, how long a minute is.
I'm timing it.
Oh, are you?
I'll let you know. I'll
Okay,
let you
thanks.
know.
Quite a long time.
Yeah. Okay, that's about a minute.
Okay, so I don't know if anyone, this is very fluid. We just have like a couple of minutes, just if anyone wants to share anything that they have had in their life that has changed the course. Shall I take the screen down?
Yeah, take the screen down and
Yeah.
we can see each other.
Okay, yeah.
So if you want to speak, unmute yourself.
Well, I wanted to be a scientist when I was growing up, and I didn't read books except for learning something. I read science books. And I had a teacher, English teacher, when I was 16 who taught me to learn to like to read. And I wouldn't be here now.
Nice.
Anyway, that's all.
That's great influence, isn't it?
And
Unmute yourself, Anne.
Yeah, this sounds so hokey, and it sounds like I don't know, soap opera. But seriously, meeting my husband, and I met him on a blind date, which I tried very much in America, Japanese. Tried very much not to go on that blind date. Ended up going on it. 10 days later, I told my mother if I ever had children, I was having them with him. And I ended up moving to Japan and staying here. And this was somebody who thought she was going to have an academic, I was going to be a professor of neonatal nursing. That was my goal. And I was well on my way. But it did not happen. And I've ended up, I will be, I guess, 40 years in Japan come February. And
Wow.
my life has just been very different. It's been good, but it's been very different. And so I think that, yeah, encountering it on that blind date really did change the course of my life, and it'd be a terrible movie. It'd be so trite, nobody'd go see it. But at any rate, that was my story. Thank you.
Thank you. That was great.
To continue, I was pre-med when I started college, and I had a boyfriend. I was in biochemistry. He gave me an STD and demanded that it wasn't from him. I'd gotten it from somebody else, but there hadn't been anybody else. And I didn't want to sit next to him, and I liked English, and I just switched my major.
Wow.
Just immediately, because I didn't want to have to sit next to him for another semester. And I've never regretted it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
In a funny sort of way.
Yeah,
Oh,
good
well,
things can come from bad.
Yeah.
So you asked me to tell you after about 3 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, so we're almost 3 minutes of discussion. Do you want to
Okay.
hear from another
Yeah.
person or go
Someone
on?
else. Let's just move if no one's put their hand up. That'll be good. Cool.
Okay, we'll go on.
Sorry.
Start screaming. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, got it. Oh, okay. So, 1 minute. So while I was consumed with living with like the deep, dark, sad grief of Danielle's death, I really got inspired to change the world. I'd felt frustrated with prejudice from others, which I'd experienced, but also being treated well because I was from New Zealand, a nice country. And I was like, really? Is that how it works? Because, you know, imagine if you're from a country that's not considered good. It's just prejudice for no reason. I hated the way the tourists were disrespectful to locals while traveling and living overseas. I've been living overseas for like 14 years at that point, and I just saw a lot of really terrible behavior, and I just wasn't good. So lived in Vietnam for 3 years. So people think it's a kind of a joke to make fun of a country and the people in it, or the leaders. Lonely Planet is great for young people, but it is really, really disrespectful. In Vietnam, many tourists were totally disrespectful for Ho Chi Minh. But in the north of Vietnam, where I lived in Hanoi, and he is their national hero. The hero that rescued their country from the French and ousted out anyone else who dared to enter. So the Vietnamese have their story about, they call it the American War, and like we must respect that. We need to we have to respect it, even if we don't agree with it, because it is their story. We need to disrupt disrespect and prejudice and racism, as I believe it, and it's at its core. So we need to get back to basics, and we've got to put the kindness back into mankind. This is our beloved Prime Minister in our COVID days, our dark COVID days. It's like, be strong, but be kind. We will be okay. And I think it's sort of like keep calm and carry on. I like that. We need to ignite curiosity about other cultures through EdTech, education technology. Then socially conscious people and travellers and residents can easily support local NGOs, non-government offices, while travelling. Now this is Koto. So in the pre-COVID days, we used to go on holiday, and we used to go, while we were on holiday, we used to go out and eat lunch. So my idea is that if we're going out to eat lunch on our holiday, why don't we go out and support a local NGO or social enterprise? So for example, Koto, Know One, Teach One. This helps disadvantaged youth. And here is Jimmy Farn. He's the founder, and over the last 20 years, he's educated and trained over 1,000 youth and engaging them in a 2-year program. The program is so powerful because it ends poverty cycle and empowers them and secures their future. And those people who are able to get into the program, they're qualified in the hospitality trade, so they can work anywhere in the world. So I would like that the socially conscious travellers, they could easily support local enterprises if they just knew where they were, but often we don't know. So in 2007, I wanted to publish a capital cities book and DVD series about pop culture. I know the DVD sounds all very old and fuddy, but that's what it was in those days. And so I'd already coordinated and owned and written other publications. The Bangkok Guide was a book that we published that used to then raised 25,000 US a year for Thai charities. I had a TV magazine and I wrote just a We Are Expats book. So what did I do? So I made a mock-up book, and this is it, Weird and Wow Hanoi. And then I put together a promo, and I wanted to send that to potential publishers to show them how serious I was about this. So here's the promo. Can you hear that?
The sound is a little hard to hear, but we can see it.
Okay, what should we do about that?
When you go to share screen, before you click share, there's 2 little boxes at the bottom of your window, and you need to share computer screen or sound.
Oh, right, yeah, okay.
And maybe, I don't know if you need to click both of the boxes or not, but that should work.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. So hopefully it'll just start again.
Pace keeps running.
Maybe should I just start off this?
Introducing to you Weird and Wonderful, the Capital City series, starting in Hanoi, book and DVD.
In this context, there's no disrespect.
Fancy eating dog for dinner tonight, or some stewed pig's brains? These are just some of the delicious delights you get to sample when you open the pages. That's weird, but the wonderful things about Hanoi is the amazing French architecture, the most resilient people in the whole world, the picturesque lakes and the tree-lined streets. So I'm putting together this promo to impress and express to you, my future business partner, publisher, or agent, my skills, my passion and my vision. For Weird and Wonderful Hanoi and other subsequent locations, this is just a new slant to travel location books. Normally, imagery is done in a stingy way, but not here. In the 260 plus pages, there's 400 photos that can be enjoyed. This is also backed with facts and figures. The first draft is complete, and it's totally my concept. So now it's time to get somebody involved where we can work together and change some ideas and make it the best that we can possibly make it. This book's great for expats, travellers, and an amazing resource for teachers and students. In Hanoi, in the name of progress, things are changing very rapidly, and much of the beautiful charm is being lost. So it is now the time to document and capture this. Less than 20 years ago, it was a silent city with only bicycles, and now look what you can see out there. It's just amazing. This is just not another tourist book with the same old, same old. This is something new, and it oozes enthusiasm, excitement, horror and fun. Now you've seen the promo, it's time to check out the business plan, the marketing plan, and the book. We have a purpose. Let it begin.
Bob your head like me, Apple D, up inside your club or in your Bentley.
Okay, so that was my promo that I made in 2007. In 2009, I was invited by the government, Vietnamese government, to write a book to celebrate the 1,000-year birthday of Hanoi City. That was going to be held on the 10th of the 10th, 2010, a very auspicious day. But after some time, I actually got the go-ahead, but only had 4 months to complete it. So 2 months into the write, we discovered a huge loss of translation moment, and the government came and asked me how my book was coming with the 200 pages, 200 pretty photos of Hanoi. My book wasn't pretty, and it was about pop culture, so it was all about people and the culture. So after that point, I became very fearful. It's like, well, who am I to write this book about this auspicious occasion? Like, I only got 50% in English at school back years ago, and I'm an amateur photographer, and other people can do it better than me, and no one will like it. And like, it's just like fear, like running through my system. So I came up, I remembered that this thing called EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. And it's something that I've used multiple times. And if you're interested in it, it's worth just having a look at it. For me, it clears your fear very easily, without drugs, without anything. And it just helps you get over things. And I've used it a lot. So, so this is one technique that I use to combat and manage fear. So do you just, feel the fear and do it anyway? Have you got some ideas that you want to write down about how you manage your own fear?
Okay, I'll start the timer.
Don't have fear? I don't know, maybe it's just me fearful.
Breathe.
Yes, breathing's good. Or you can just talk about it. It doesn't have to be formal written down if people would rather just speak.
Everybody's too afraid to speak.
I'm writing first. I'm doing the minute writing before I speak. Okay, minute of silence is finished.
Thank goodness for that. If things are too personal, you don't need to share it. It's just like thinking about, strategies that maybe you've forgotten about that you use, and maybe you could remember them just by focusing on them.
Well, I can share mine. So for me, actually I have they're getting better, a lot of breathing problems, asthma kind of things. But once I started doing some yoga and doing kind of yoga breathing, that helped everything. And I discovered that works very well when I'm nervous. Sometimes if I'm even alone, I'll do some yoga pose. But if I'm in public, at least I can do the breathing, right? That helps. Physically get my body calm, then my brain can follow.
Sounds good. Hi.
I think of my grandmother, who was a formidable lady. She lived on a farm in Switzerland, and she chopped her own wood until she was 70 years old. And then she did ask my male cousins and uncles to do it for her. And I just imagine her looking down on me and sort of sniffing, you know, you can't manage that, you wimp. And that kind of shames me into getting on with it. Anyhow, so I suppose the takeaway point there is, you know, inspiring women, especially your, you know, female relatives.
Sounds good. Right, shall we move on? Is that okay?
Yeah, I think it's okay to move on then. Some people are quiet today.
That's all right. Oh yeah, okay, so I did get published and I'm very proud of it. The big celebration was on the 10th of the 10th, 2010, and but I didn't get actually published till the 15th of the 10th because of the publication license. I had to clear censorship issues, and I did get published by the Social Sciences Publishing House. The book was about pop culture and history, and it's 350 pages and 1,200 photos. I just didn't know when to stop. So this is the book. Here, this is Lee Tai To. He's the guy that was in charge in that time. I had lots of challenges at that point. So basically, in Vietnam, everybody, in theory, needs a license, even just to take a photo. They're very tough on, you know, managing information. So I had to use a translator. So once I got to Vietnam, I then had a week of sitting with somebody going, where did you take that photo? Were you allowed to take that photo? Did you have permission to take that photo? So it was all pretty stressful, really. So in their call, their country, they took out 120 photos and 6 pages of text that I'd written. But that's just the way it is. We'd go there for like an hour meeting, and 8 hours later we'd come out, and it was a very weird and well experience. But I had a real sense of pride at the end of it, because not many foreigners actually get to publish in Vietnam. So my history involves, like I've been working and volunteering for NGOs, non-government organisations, charities, organisations, non-profits and social enterprises, and the humanitarian industry, and that's in New Zealand and in Asia. For 14 years, I've been living in developing countries, and I've been having first-hand experience of how grassroots NGOs struggle to find the support as they're invisible to the outside world. I was disappointed how grassroots NGOs didn't get the support they needed just to fulfill their mission. So here's one charity that I particularly like. Has anyone ever heard of, put your hand up, have you heard of Symphomeals? No, okay. So this is an amazing one. They, just imagine going for cancer treatment. You have to sell everything that you own basically to afford the treatment. You get to the cancer hospital to have your treatment. You share the bed with multiple other people, and you only get to eat half a piece of bread a day because that's all you can afford. It's either the treatment or food, and treatment is number one. So Symphomeals is a private charity, and they supply free meal coupons, supplying hot food to inpatients. They have milk programs, and they provide Sympha Kids scholarships, so cancer patient children can continue at school, because often the children will have to go and work to support the family if one member is sick. These people are a very difficult situation. So this is an amazing service, but invisible to the world. Globally Good wants to connect you to NGOs that you are passionate about. So for example, my auntie, her granddaughter, 4-year-old, had cancer as a child. And, because she had that experience, she might be interested in supporting a charity like this. That's if she knew about it, but we don't know about it. So Symphomeals recipients are not only sick, but poverty-stricken. They probably earn about $2 a day, and that's not $2 an hour, that's $2 a day. And it's tough. People living in poverty is tough. So meanwhile, I saw large international NGOs, they're wasting money everywhere in my view. And so I just thought, I must revolutionise this dysfunctional humanitarian industry. So I lived in Vietnam for 3 years, and my husband, you know, had a house, you know, the company paid for the house, so it was lovely. But next door we had a family living from an international NGO. They had double the housing allowance. They had the best four-wheel drive that one could have at the time. Their offices were at the most expensive part of town, and every year they flew home on business class. And we were in cattle class every 2 years. So it was like, oh, I know they need the money to get good people, but I think they just go over the top. And I know they're good in the height of a disaster, but I think they're just too expensive to run and too top heavy. So I decided to take it all on, and in 2011, the birth of what would be globally good was formulated. So that's me with my book. I was a bit slimmer then, oh, damn, but never mind. So this is a video that I put together to explain to people what this globally good does. Sorry, let me out of this thing. Okay, so I actually made that myself, which is actually quite an achievement because I've been messing around with software for years and it's the first time I've actually got it to work. So it was quite an achievement. So Globally Good, these sustainable development goals are done by the United Nations in 2015. And it's a blueprint to achieve better and more sustainable future for all. They have to be achieved by 2030. So the ones that we're keen on is number 9, which is industry and innovation and infrastructure. Goal 16, peace, justice and strong institutions. And goal 17, partnerships with the goals. But we actually directly address those ones, but we help basically every other goal. Even with these goals, from the Millennium Goals, which were the original goals, and this subject has become a lot more sexy, but somehow we still haven't been able to manage to get funding, because Globally Good is a multi-sector offering, and does what makes us different from others. So over the last 14 years, I've been self-funding and developing this idea and looking for support, but instead I've just received rejection after rejection. So I've got 142 rejections, and most of them are not presented in a nice way. Some of them are just a letter. So that's why I would like to talk about a man's world, because a lot of men are overseeing these applications. So yes, 142 rejections for funding and support for my vision. It's actually quite a lot, and it's quite annoying. So I've had these 18 applications rejected for multiple different things. The one that I got the closest to was Unreasonable Labs in Japan, but because I didn't speak fluent Japanese, I missed out on that. But yeah, I've had other interviews, but it's just never been close enough. So I thought, okay, well, educate yourself. Okay, don't sit around, educate yourself. So, I haven't had a university degree, so I've had to do everything just by learning. So I went on and did MOOCs. In 2012, they become available, massive online open courses. So I thought, right, if I learn the tools of the trade and go to startup weekends, I'm going to get ahead on this, but it still hasn't happened. So this is my journey from 2006 to 2020. As you can see, we've had lots of changes, including the name changes, but now I have a very clear idea about what I want. So I studied the tech social innovation field, and it wasn't until 2016 when I went to the US. I went to a conference at Stanford, Social Innovation One, that I realized that I was actually trying to find money in places in the wrong place. I really appreciated going to the US. People were very open, friendly, helpful, and it was awesome. And I knew if I lived there, I could get funding, but I didn't. So get over it. So in 1893, New Zealand was the first country to get the woman the vote. Kate Shepherd gained us that, but I'm not sure how proud she would be of us today. Yeah, in New Zealand, the living wage is $26 an hour, which is just never, people couldn't live on that and, I don't know, buy a Christmas card or whatever. When I was 14 years old, 40 years ago, I was earning $14 an hour. And I just applied for a job and got a job here in New Zealand, and they offered me $22 an hour. And that's, you need years of experience and knowledge. But as you can see on the screen, there's one note there that's a $9 note. Kate Shepherd, she made a way onto our $10 note, but there's a $9 note. And that's just something that has been put together to show the difference in pay between men and women. To show this to the Parliament, they put a coffee cart outside Parliament, and they charged men $6 for a coffee and women $5. And I think it was a good way to put that out in front of people. So this is from the UK, but it's still the same sort of thing. It's about gender pay gap. Women managers working full-time get 22% less, meaning that every day they get unpaid 1 hour 40 minutes every day. So that's 57 days free every year a woman gives, with a man and a woman doing the same job as a manager. So over a lifetime, a loss of earnings could add up to $900,000. And I just think that's disgusting in today's world. So another problem I've had is, this is a report by Forbes, is that only 4.3% of women founders get funded by venture capital. And this 4.3% is on a historical high. And that's reported on the 18th of May 2020. So the reason for that is that few women have a tech startups, and a lot of them can't get funding. So they should send a 19-year-old lad in there, white lad with a hoodie, and they probably get funded. But as a woman, it's hard to do that. The venture capital boards are predominantly run by men. So we've got so many things that need changing. So who am I going to blame for all of this? It's just not fair. Like, I could just blame many things. I don't live in a developing countries. I've got no accolades. I'm not Gen Y or a tech, and prejudice isn't sexy, and I'm not educated. I have a different model than an NGO holding out my hand. It's not an app, so it's hard to describe. People don't even understand what EdTech is, and they don't even know that people only earn $2 a day. And they just don't understand unless they've been living in these countries. You know, and triple bottom line, which is people, planet and profits, it's just this tiny investor profile. So, and also I got another problem. People think I'm a bit crazy, and maybe I am, but it helps actually. So this is about blame. Just a minute, I'll just see 1 second, please. So yeah. And yeah, so for me, I could and I did focus on blame, but it was never going to be, it was so easy to count my failures because there was many of them. And I actually have a spreadsheet to prove it. I have got everybody's name who's ever rejected me. I'm not sure if that's helpful. And it hasn't been fun, it hasn't been inspirational, and basically it made me feel worse and made quite depressing. So I got introduced to, I call her my friend, she doesn't know me, from a bar of soap, Dr. Brené Brown. She's a shame researcher. And I'd like to just let her explain why blame is not worth it.
How many of you are blamers? How many of you, when something goes wrong, the first thing you want to know is whose fault it is? Hi, my name is Brene. I am a blamer. Let me just tell you this quick story. So this is a couple years ago when I first realized the magnitude to which I blame. I'm in my house. I have on white slacks and a pink sweater set, and I'm drinking a cup of coffee in my kitchen. It's a full cup of coffee. I drop it on the tile floor. It goes into a million pieces, splashes up all over me. And the first, a millisecond after it hit the floor, right out of my mouth is this: "Damn you, Steve." Who is my husband? Because let me tell you how fast this works for me. So Steve plays water polo with a group of friends, and the night before he went to go play water polo. And I said, "Hey, make sure you come back at 10, because I can never fall asleep until you're home." And he got back like at 10:30. And so I went to bed a little bit later than I thought. Ergo, my second cup of coffee that I probably would not be having had he come home when we discussed. Therefore, and so the rest of that story is I'm cleaning up the kitchen. Steve calls, caller ID. I'm like, "Hey." He's like, "Hey, what's going on, babe?" What's going on? So I'll tell you exactly what's going on. I'm cleaning up the coffee that spilled all, like dial tone. Because he knows. How many of you go to that place when something bad happens, the first thing you want to know is whose fault is it? I'd rather it be my fault than no one's fault. Because why? Why? Because it gives us some semblance of control. But here, if you enjoy blaming, this is where you should stick your fingers in your ear and do the na thing, because I'm getting ready to ruin it for you. Because here's what we know from the research. Blame is simply the discharging of discomfort and pain. It has an inverse relationship with accountability. Accountability, by definition, is a vulnerable process. It means me calling you and saying, "Hey, my feelings were really hurt about this," and talking. It's not blaming. Blaming is simply a way that we discharge anger. People who blame a lot seldom have the tenacity and grit to actually hold people accountable, because we expend all of our energy raging for 15 seconds and figuring out whose fault something is. And blaming is very corrosive in relationships, and it's one of the reasons we miss our opportunities for empathy. Because when something happens and we're hearing a story, we're not really listening. We're in the place where I was, making the connections as quickly as we can about whose fault something was.
Sorry. Okay, so now's a chance to write down some just a couple of things that you've blamed others for when it happened. But if we are completely honest, like myself, with my globally good things, yeah, we you know, everyone has a role to play in these things, and we might have played into the story ourselves. So if you've got a couple of things that you just privately write down, a couple of things that you've blamed others for, but if you're completely honest, you would have had a part in it. So we've got 1 minute starting now.
Yeah, starting the timer.
Thank you. Oh.
I lost track of time. Minute and 20
Okay.
seconds.
Okay. I don't know if these are too personal to share, and that's fine if they are, but I don't know. Anyone have them?
I'm not
Right.
sharing mine.
No, that's fine. Okay, why don't we just move on, because they are very personal. And I've just written down one that I've just thought about too, actually. So yeah. So let's. Oh, share. Sorry. Oh. Okay. So obviously I couldn't keep blaming others and thinking that I wasn't good enough. So I had to find other ways to get on and get over myself. I have always felt that I don't belong anywhere. I've had no roots and connected because I'm just not like others. I feel like I'm from a gypsy family. I've lived in New Zealand. It's been remote, rural, village dwellers. We lived in a place with only 30 people in it for 7 years. I've lived in 41 houses, and from the age of 5 to 14, I went to 9 schools. I'm uneducated in the view of a university. I only speak English fluently. I've lived in 6 countries for 16 years, and I'm married to my Japanese husband who speaks English. So it wasn't until I started writing a book about my 99-year-old grandmother that I was able to look deeper into my heritage, and I could see that I came from a long line of strong community-spirited women. And some of my strengths today are similar to theirs. This is a quick side story. I did this for my grandmother. It's a book. I researched and wrote this book in 2014. It was for her birthday, her 99th birthday. Yeah, and it's basically just designed to document her life and family history. so here we are. So from 1844, when my grandma Bosserman was born in Germany, to me in 1966 as the 5th generation of New Zealanders. And we've got another 2 generations. I don't have children, but we have another 2 generations after that. So I'm very proud of my lineage, and you know, for the past and the current people and the family, all of them have been, you know, community spirited, and I didn't know that. I just felt I was very alone in the world because I just had so many moves and changes. So, and there's another thing. So, who in your DNA or other influential persons or people who have passed on strengths to you and gifts that now describes you? So just write some names down of some people, and on the next page I've got some strengths that you might be able to identify, strengths in you and strengths in others. So we'll just start that now. 1 minute, please. I'll turn my phone off.
Again, I forgot. More than 1 minute.
Okay, that's cool.
Because I was writing.
Okay, no problem. Does anyone want to share anything with people, with others? People they've recognised as something similar to them?
Yeah, Francis.
I just want to say that this is a lovely exercise to do, because when you apply it to people around you and kind of evaluate them in these terms, you realize how many inspiring people there are around you, because I kind of couldn't really choose 6 adjectives from this for the people I was thinking of. So, you know, this is a fantastic exercise. Thank you.
Oh, that's good. Okay, so let's move on. So back to my friend Brené. She is a shame researcher. So she got her fame from a TED talk that went viral in 2010. It now has over 50 million views. So you can just check out some of her videos. I've got a few of her books, but I'd rather watch a video. So she changed me. So before that, I was, you know, having so many rejections and having something you're really passionate about, but then you haven't done it. It's quite hard, actually. So I just felt like a complete failure, and not crying in the corner at after every event, but I often got rejected. So it really did undermine my confidence. I did feel rejected, unworthy and unwanted. And for some reason, I took on other people's opinion, and most of them were men's opinions. And that's just not right. So, and another example of this is that when I was a kid, I believed that I was really, really fat because my brother always called me thunder thighs. And I know it's really childish, but he's called me that. He's now 60. He still calls me that. And it's not from being nice. But just a month ago, I saw a video of me and I was actually really, really slim. But somehow I took on board someone else's opinion. And I just think that's sad that we do that. Or I did that to my life. So this is this is one of Renee's, not Renee's, quotes that she likes. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out the strong man's stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcomings, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows at the end the triumph of a high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who never know victory nor defeat. So for me, being in the arena a lot, getting kicked around, it's a very nice quote. I'm happy with that one. So the values that I found in myself from reading her books and that is about courage. You know, like even now I feel quite courageous putting myself out there on the line and telling people these quite personal things. It's the first time I've ever told anyone about them. So even when things turn out bad, you know, I always can come home with courage as my success. I'm vulnerable, you know, I use vulnerability. I'm putting myself in a very vulnerable position now because people could judge me or whatever, but that's the place I'm willing to put myself. I'm resilient, and because I can deal with whatever is handed to me. And the beliefs in myself and my ideas, I've really changed the way I do things. I don't share them with many others or put advice or I put their advice through a filtering machine, because if they're not in the arena, if they're not trying in whatever field they're in or doing whatever, I'm not interested in their feedback and their views. So this is another good thing for women, lean in. This is Sheryl Sandberg. She's had a bit of flack. She's the Chief Operating Officer at Facebook. And a few years ago, she had this book called Lean In, and it's advice for career women or just women in general, that you need to sit at the table, like be engaged, whatever you're doing, be engaged in it and take personal responsibility for your career. Don't wait for someone to be looking at you or whatever, just take responsibility. Be keen on everything they give you and all the training, be open to that and become a valuable team member. Then when or if you decide to have children, you will come back from your maternity leave with much better opportunities. And I know some people don't do things because they think, oh, I'm going to leave and have kids. But if we could just think further afield and think, let's just do what we can while we're here. So women need to look after other women. Other women doing well is never a threat. But often when you're doing things, other women are quite, I don't know, they tell you what they think of you, which isn't always great as well. So you need to support and stand up for other women. If you see something happening, we must start standing up for other women, or just be there. We need to be the person that we needed in the past. We need to help people. Need to genuinely celebrate other people's successes. And we still have a long way to go, and we need to pave the road for future generations. And we need to use empathy over sympathy every time. We're back to this girl.
So what is empathy, and why is it very different than sympathy? Empathy fuels connection. Sympathy drives disconnection. Empathy, it's very interesting. Teresa Wiseman is a nursing scholar who studied professions, very diverse professions where empathy is relevant, and came up with 4 qualities of empathy. Perspective taking, the ability to take the perspective of another person or recognize their perspective as their truth. Staying out of judgment, not easy when you enjoy it as much as most of us do. Recognizing emotion in other people and then communicating that. Empathy is feeling with people. And to me, I always think of empathy as this kind of sacred space when someone's kind of in a deep hole and they shout out from the bottom and they say, I'm stuck, it's dark, I'm overwhelmed. And then we look and we say, hey, you climb down. I know what it's like down here, and you're not alone. Sympathy is, ooh, it's bad, no, you want a sandwich? Empathy is a choice, and it's a vulnerable choice, because in order to connect with you, I have to connect with something in myself that knows that feeling. Rarely, if ever, does an empathic response begin with "at least." And we do it all the time, because you know what? Someone just shared something with us that's incredibly painful, and we're trying to silver lining it. I don't think that's a verb, but I'm using it as one. We're trying to put the silver lining around it. So, I had a miscarriage. Oh, at least you know you can get pregnant. I think my marriage is falling apart. At least you have a marriage. John's getting kicked out of school. At least Sarah is an A student. But one of the things we do sometimes in the face of very difficult conversations is we try to make things better. If I share something with you that's very difficult, I'd rather you say, I don't even know what to say right now, I'm just so glad you told me. Because the truth is, rarely can a response make something better. What makes something better is connection.
Okay, so we're on to tolerations. I don't know if anyone's ever heard of these things, but I went to a life coach once years ago, and it was all about tolerations and how they wear you down. So it's sort of things like, do you have a dirty light switch or something in the hallway that you walk past every day and you go, oh, that just needs a bit of a wipe. I'll do that next time. Or you might have like an unwritten card on your desk. It's like you're just waiting for that time to reply to somebody's letter. Or maybe there's like a big pile of papers in the corner and that pile just keeps growing and you just want to sort them but you never get it. Or your bike brakes, they squeak when you use them and you think, oh, I'll get that adjusted, but you only remember it when you're actually in the moment. So these tolerations can really wear us down, and so the best thing we can do with them is they hold energy that we don't, we need to use energy for some other things. Just wait, I've got a technical issue here with my papers. So they actually wear us down and they hold energy. Every time we go past it or think about it, we go, oh, we'll do that later. But the best thing to do is actually write a list and then one by one get them done. And it's amazing the energy and the feeling and the freedom you have just by doing that. So I just thought maybe we just start by just a minute. We just start writing a list of things that have been annoying us. We know we need to get them done, but we never, ever do it. So starting now, please.
1 minute.
Thank you.
Oh, what? That's 1 minute.
Okay, cool. So does anyone just want to share a couple of things that you might have thought of regarding this? Well, I have one, and that's I've got to take the old light bracket off my bike. Every day I look at it, it's like, oh, I'll take that off next time. I just need a screwdriver to do that. But every time I get my bike out, I think, oh, I'll do that, but I never do it. So that's one thing that I must do. Oh, you guys are so organized. I love it.
Well, mine is kind of big. I've got these closets. I'm not sure that it, some closets that need to be cleaned.
Oh, that's also a mission. Okay, Anne.
Yeah, I'm muted. A big one is clearing out the files on my computer. I have multiple drafts of things, and they're just taking up tons of space. And some of them goes back like 10 years because I get a new computer and I move everything to the new computer, so it goes back forever. But one thing that I actually did, which I'm really proud of, is I have kept for forever a paper address book. And I've been meaning to redo that because it's all whited out, scratched out, written over, and taped in. And I, every year for Christmas cards, I can't find the addresses, and it's awful. At the beginning of this COVID thing, I finally sat down and did that. I have a nice, clean, loose leaf paper address book now. So that's one thing that I actually got around, but only because I was forced to be at home for a month. So it took some outside force. Thank you.
That's good. I think that's COVID's done that for lots of people, hasn't it? I see someone flashing up on the screen about cleaning, their house needs cleaning. Yeah, I guess it's spring cleaning. You have a season for that in Japan, don't you? To wait till then. Or just do one room at a time or one corner at a time. Okay, so anyone else would like to share? Let's move on. Oh, whoops, right. Oh, sorry, I have to share the screen, sorry. Oh, whoops. Okay, well, okay, so that screen, I can't go back to that because I've tried to do that. This is my woo-woo stuff. And this is things that, the power of thought, Louise Hay, fire walking, water crystal healings, meditation and gratitude. A lot of people don't put much value onto these things, but I do, so let's just have a look at them. So Louise Hay, she's very much had a lot of influence in my life over the years, empowering woman, and like it's only a thought and a thought can be changed. So when I'm sort of stuck in something and go, oh, why am I thinking this? Just change your thinking and it's going to be a lot easier. And another one of her quotes I've just got up there is that every experience I have is perfect for my growth. And that's just sometimes hard to accept because, some things are actually quite annoying when you want things to go well and they don't. So this is me. It was in 2009. I went to Tony Robbins and I got to do the fire walk. And it still amazes me, actually. On the top right-hand corner, I was actually, you work in partners and then you change partners for different exercises. And I ended up when they said we're doing the fire walk, this woman who was my new partner grabbed my hand and we ran out. There was 3,000 people in the room and we ran to the fire. And while we're there, that photo's terrible, but they're basically wheelbarrowing all the hot coals onto this ready lawn for us to walk on it. And it still amazes me that I didn't burn myself. I did the fire walk, and that the idea that it says 5 steps to fire walking. So you have to be normal and direct. You have to believe that you're walking, it's cool as moss. And you got to look up, and when you get off the hot coals, you take the hot coals that are stuck to your feet off. And so that was just a really amazed me, and still today, that I didn't actually get burnt. So yeah, that was an amazing experience for me. I do a nightly meditation when I go to bed. My husband's used to this now, which is good. And I use this one, and I basically, it starts with, you're about to embark on a guided meditation. And so it doesn't matter what I'm doing. If I need to have a bit of a sleep or something, I put that on, and honestly, it's like puts me out to it. So I love that. This is what, I'm sure everybody knows this, this person, Masaru Emoto, the water crystal guy, about healing yourself and the power of thought. So this is just a small video that he's done.
In this experiment, Dr. Emoto's researchers used a glass of Tokyo tap water, which seems to be unable to form crystals, and performed a test. Participants placed the glass in the center of their circle and sent gratitude to the water. Studying the water under the microscope, they started to see a crystal formation. Increased magnification showed the symmetry of the crystal, revealing how the tap water was transformed by the gratitude sent by the group. The crystal continued to grow, expressing the energies received. The tap water from Tokyo finally produced a beautiful crystal.
It was interesting to see children so completely astonished after they witnessed the difference in Tokyo tap water, before and after they said the prayer. Their mothers were kind of skeptical before this experiment. But afterwards, they said, we really have to believe it.
So yeah, so this is just sort of like, if you say to a bottle of water sitting on the bench all day, you're stupid, that's the sort of crystals that it can form. And then another one, I cannot. So you can only form half. Yeah, but if you're saying to yourself, I can do it, love and gratitude, I think, you know, I think that's worth thinking about. So for me, there's nothing more empowering than gratitude. It's an energy that, for me, changes everything. Even when there's a big storm raining down, I can still find something normally to be grateful for. When you have a daily practice, it is easy to be appreciative, because all day you're subconsciously thinking of things that you need to be grateful for. Gratitude makes sense of your past, brings peace today, and creates a vision for tomorrow. So write down some 10 things that you're grateful for today. It could be just, I'm grateful, I'm grateful, I'm grateful. But it could be like, I so much appreciate, you know, the WELL conference. Thank you for the rain today. I love chocolate. I appreciate that in my life. It is so wonderful that I have a cat. Thank you. This cake is so delicious. I appreciate it. Thank you, John, and thank you for sharing a coffee with me, just making it up as we go. So if you just want to just start a list, so then finish it later, just starting now.
Okay, I'll start the timer. But also remind Christina, some people will need to leave in about 5 minutes. Some people will stay on, but I think some people have something scheduled. So let's start.
We've only got a couple more things left.
Okay, 1 minute.
We could just let people, okay, so why don't we just let people do that later?
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll just move on. So for this talk that I've just given, my wish for you, so we want all of your unique journeys. We all have unique journeys and stories to tell. We need to use techniques that mean something to us to build our own resiliency. And we've got to go for things that are important to us. We need to support others even if we don't understand them. And we've got to keep our dreams and beliefs close to us and only share them with people who get us, and to be the best version of ourselves. So the funny thing is, when you don't let people disrespect you, they start calling you difficult. And I have been called difficult on many occasions because I've become outspoken, and I haven't let people that should have helped me, I've told them about it. And I just won't go away. I have a voice, and it's often not appreciated. So on your journey, you're not going to please everybody. So just don't worry about that. Just agree to disagree and don't worry about it. You're not going to please everyone. So my current status, COVID-19's messed with my life. My business relations that I started to build in Japan are now void. I'm living in New Zealand. My hubby is in Taiwan, but we talk 2 hours a day. I expect to be there, I don't know when. We're planning to buy a house in New Zealand. I had plans to go to Vietnam, but they're on hold. And now I'm looking for business that I can build and fund to do globally good myself. So people often say to me, are you still doing that? Like, meaning globally good. It's like, just give up on it. But, you know, I've learned a lot about it, and I've learned of things that I didn't want to learn. I know that my courage and my vulnerability are my greatest superpower. And I know my life from the outside is just a constant fiasco, a circus, an adventure. But for me, it's my greatest legacy. And actually now I don't even mind what people think about me. And this is just a song that I really think sums up me. Oh, sorry. So that's the end of my presentation. I want to thank everybody. Yeah, and I appreciate everyone participating and just spending a Saturday time here. So thank you. That's it from me.
Thank you.
Thanks. So what we usually do here, this is the end time we set, but we can stay. So some people will have to leave, but I think some people will want to stay and ask some questions and have some discussion. Some people may drop away from us. Okay.
So,
yeah. Some questions. Yes, Anne.
I'm one of the I have to go people, but I just want to thank you for that song. And this is who I'm meant to be. That's a beautiful takeaway. And
yeah.
I'm really grateful that you spent this time sharing with us. I have a whole page of notes of things to think about and to explore more. And I'm really grateful, and to everybody else who came today too. So sorry I do have to leave, but yeah, this is who we're all meant to be. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and I'll stop the